Unscripted.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of PD and P-Dubs Unscripted. And P-Dubs, good to be with you here.
It is great to be here back in the house for a special day.
Yeah, our 100th episode. Did you ever expect us to make 100 episodes?
Oh, man, I never even had that thought in my mind. You know how it goes. You just want to start something and see how it goes.
And here we are 100 episodes later, and we finally realized for our video that we have lights in the studio.
Yes,
for those watching on YouTube, that we might have better lighting now.
Yeah. This is, you learn as you go. And, I'm not the most observant guy myself, so you saw it, and it's like, hey, let's give it a try.
And that was just because Joe, our praise team director, had him on for a video he was making with our brand new drum set that's right now in the studio.
Yeah,
and I was like,
cool.
Wait a second, there's lights. We can use those for this.
Maybe now it will really capture my good side, and I won't look so,
whatever. Is that your good side?
I don't even know. I don't even know if I have a good side.
Oh, every side. You're all good.
Oh, you know how to lay it on thick, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we've been at this for almost 2 years now.
Over 2 years.
A little over 2 years,
it was in
right?
February. So our first official episode aired, which was our introduction, February 7th, 2022.
February 7th.
2022.
That's my daughter's birthday.
Is it?
Yeah.
We didn't record it on that day.
No, we just aired it that day, right?
And, like I told you, kind of for those that are listening, I thought this could be a good time to reminisce and share some stories or different things. And I told P-Dubs a little bit before we started that I might have some quiz questions here for him about the pod.
Oh, boy.
And so the first one, I guess, do you remember what our first faith intersections was, which was our first true episodes outside the introduction?
First faith intersections. I'm going to say talking about our ones.
No.
Okay.
It's TV related. TV late night.
Stephen Colbert?
Yeah, and comedy.
We had an article that we saw.
A video with it was a Dua Lipa and Stephen Colbert.
That's right. Wow, that was the very first faith intersection.
Yeah, on Valentine's Day of 2022.
All righty then.
And then since I'm just looking at, do you know who our first guests were?
Oh, wow. Our first guest. I'm just gonna think here.
There's two people.
It was two people?
Two people. On February 18th, it came out of 2022.
Two people. I was going to say Maggie Walsh.
Nope, she has been a reoccurring guest. She might be the most reoccurring guest.
She might be the most reoccurring. But now that you say two people, we had two people.
About the biggest ministry at Emmanuel.
Oh, about our school. So it was... Dr. Joy Mullaney and Sophie Zick, our marketing director at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So kind of going on that, how many guests have we had on the podcast outside of the times when I've had the school kids?
Okay.
Because when I was scrolling through counting, I was like, I can't remember how many were on there, so I'm not going to count those ones. But guests outside of school kids.
I'll say I'm probably going to go a little high here, but 30.
Close, a little high.
I'm a little high.
Yeah,
okay.
A little high.
28.
A little lower.
25.
Yes.
Oh.
25 different guests we've had.
Nice.
And some have been recurring, we mentioned Maggie and Cheryl White and Meshach Say No More. They've been some recurring guests.
Yes, they have.
But yeah, it was 25 guests.
That's really amazing. That's cool.
Right, and so then, that was not how I planned to start, but the idea, talking about this podcast, this was an idea we had for quite a while before we did. I bet at least a year.
Yeah, at least a year. We were kicking it around that we wanted to do something. It probably was born out of COVID time, right?
Yeah, because it came out 2022, so maybe we started in 2020 kicking the tires on it, and we just never pulled the trigger.
Right, because we thought, there's got to be a way where we can, enter into everybody's day somehow as pastors to get connected into their lives and to see how they could become involved more in their faith and to see what's happening in the community for them to be a part of or see how their faith intersects with everyday life, and sometimes dig deep into the scripture.
Right.
And so, yeah, it took a while to really kind of germinate and develop.
Right. I still remember meeting with you kind of in what's our historical nook right now, kind of writing down notes like, what is this going to look like? How long is the episodes? And like we came up pretty quickly with the 3 idea of like the faith intersections, deeper dive, and community connections.
Yep.
The hardest part was coming up with a name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We were writing a name on a piece of paper, and then we came up with a bunch of names, and then we were trying to come up with a logo and what it would look like.
I know. I still got that note on my notes on Apple because it was on my Apple notes I was doing. And like our crude little drawing of the current logo, which Dana Rowe helped design after she took like my stick figure version of it.
Yeah, she really helped put us on the map logo-wise.
Yeah, because we're not creative when it comes to that.
I mean, I think that gave us some street cred out there in social media and podcasts.
Right, that we have a nice looking logo.
Nice logo, and just the name. It's nicknames for Pastor and myself, and just the way we dialogue. We don't really write out a script. And we wanted to show a way of conversation and authenticity. And
because, I never know. I mean, we have an idea of what we're going to talk about. Some days it's a 5-10 minute conversation. What do you want to talk about? Sometimes it's like 20-25 minutes, and we're like, well, if we can't come up with one now.
I know.
And then once we get that idea, we're usually pretty good to just run with it for the length of the podcast.
Yeah, that's a kudos to us as a team.
Right.
And blessing from the Lord for sure. And that was kind of fun to think about, like how the name and the logo came about.
And as an editor, I'm very appreciative that we do this pretty much all in one take.
Oh yeah,
there's not a lot of editing I have to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've hit a stride there.
Right.
And but boy, we came out really gung ho, didn't we? Like we were like, let's take this on. We are ready. We've been talking about this for a year.
Let's do 3 in a row,
3 times in a week.
And we'd record sometimes 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah. And how were we coming up with the material 3 times a week? I mean, at some point, you're going to have a diminishing sense of returns.
Right. And my favorite is always the deeper dives when we're talking about what we preached upon the previous weekend.
Yeah.
When we might have not had the sermons written at that point.
A little secret there was part of the pastoral development of the sermon.
And it'd be like, oh, you had a great sermon this weekend.
Yeah, I know. And we didn't even have it too much thought put into it, to be honest.
And it's kind of one of those, I'm like, oh man, I can't reuse what I said in this podcast. I got to come up with something different too.
Right, I know. Yeah.
So that was always fun though. Like, oh yeah, good sermon this weekend.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good. And I've really been thankful for the variety of guests that we have had here that really accomplished things locally that people can connect into, and things, internationally.
Right,
like you said, with Meshach, Saint and Moore.
And we had my friend Pastor Scott Youn, who was a missionary and works in Ukraine as a pastor.
Right.
We had him.
And he was in Ukraine.
Well, Slovakia, because he was already exited.
As opposed to here in the studio.
Yeah, he was a refugee at that point in Slovakia after him and his wife Lena escaped during the attacks from Russia. And so that was really cool having our first guest outside of the studio, be halfway around the world.
Right.
And I thought the audio quality was pretty good. And I
thought so too.
And I think that's our longest episode to date, which is just over an hour. But for that one, I was like, with all of him sharing about that, leaving Russia in the middle of the attacks, and then just sharing about what he does in Ukraine.
Right.
I always kind of sometimes forgot that we did have Jenny on early on.
Yeah, as our music director.
Yeah, we had Pastor Carl Fay from Prince of Peace here in
Right,
Palatine.
he was doing that art expo, and that was pretty cool.
We had Dana Rowe talking about Sisters Giving Hope, the organization her daughters run. Jason Staller talking about Local Off 53.
Yep. Love Local now, I think is what it's called.
We had so actually 26 because I missed this one because of the way I have it titled. Nicole Mathis was on.
Oh yeah, for Discovery Camp.
Discovery Camp. Oh, we did talk about Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars.
Well, yeah, we had to talk about that.
Everybody
Was talking about that.
We had Tony Au, the Barrington Campus Life
Yeah,
Center.
that was a fun one.
That was a fun one. You guys were singing some songs in that one, and I can't remember what the song was.
I can't either.
Let's see here.
So we had Pastor Jorge Marzagolis out of Dundee. That was pretty recent.
That was more recent. We had Nick the Mailman.
Nick the Mailman was one of widely favored by many, I'd say.
Right, and then
that was a good one.
That was a good one. Then another one that a lot of people liked, and this is only school kid I counted, was William Lloyd.
Oh yeah, right. That was wow.
That was a hoot.
That was the one we probably said the least in.
Right. Because good, we got a reprieve from the two of them.
Yeah, he really carried his own there. That was remarkable. He was very entertaining.
We had Cheryl and you reminiscing about old times at Emmanuel.
Yep. That's for sure.
Natalie Rodriguez talking about the Hopeful Beginnings.
Yeah, we met her over at Prince of Peace, kind of a faith in action community group.
Right. We talked about our experience with Call Day, that ever so exciting day for soon-to-be pastors or interns, which we call vicars, and wondering where you're going to go.
Right, yeah.
Wow, John Pakel is back in June talking about Emmanuel AV.
That's right. Yeah, he's an old classmate of mine, and I remember he said something at the end that we all broke up over. I can't remember what it was, but it's his personality that kind of was a gotcha.
Right.
And we were cracking up at the end there.
Then we had when you were kind of on vacation where I had my friend Dave Ficken, who's at PLI. Depending on who you talk to, our number one fan, AJ Weller.
Well, that's what I've heard, yeah.
So shout out to AJ because I know you're listening because you say you're our number one fan and you always listen.
I'm a fellow Cub fan too, and so kudos to that.
Yeah, that was back-to-back Cub fans for Gus. I don't know what I was thinking there.
Yeah. You're just setting yourself up for punishment there.
But then, I reprieved that when I had my good friend Peter Frank, who I've known since second grade, fill in. And, he's a Sox fan, so that was nice. And we talked about his experience on Vicarage because he just got done with his internship.
Right.
Maggie Walsh again. A lot of then we had Joe Latusik, our praise team director.
Yeah, he was just coming on board, and we wanted to introduce him and let everybody get to know him a bit, and that was really well received, and people liked that one.
Right, and then we did have Sarah and Cheryl White to talk about Christmas movies.
Oh yeah, that was a hoot.
Man, we've had a lot that were hoots.
Yeah, definitely.
Betty Franz with Meshach.
Mm-hmm.
And then last episode, we had Kevin, Doug, and Terry talking 50s plus.
50s plus, yeah. And, I should have asked the question earlier, like, how many different organizations sponsored our podcast, quote, sponsored, since nobody sponsored it, like, monetarily, but we just had a little fun with that.
Yeah, I think the first was Altar Guild. And then it was Steve McKay's Bible study, because we were having fun with that one. Or the AV or music for Jenny.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, have we had the youth? Maybe?
Maybe the youth.
Yeah, we just have fun with that one.
I remember when we told Laverne that Altar Guild sponsored it, and she got all worried. Like, she's like, "What do you mean we sponsored it? Like, how much money do I have to spend?"
Right. And we're just joking because we're just trying to have some fun with it.
I know.
Oh, I forgot also on the guests, because they were not listed, we have had some of our puppet friends join us.
That's right. Yeah.
I think Stanley
Steamer and Izzy Mandelbaum. Yeah.
Maybe Luigi popped in that time.
I'm sure he did. And maybe Scuba Steve. Right. I think he was in the house.
But yes, I forgot about them as guests.
Heck, how could we forget about those guys?
They weren't listed in the, because I was just scrolling down through Apple Podcast.
Oh, boy, we're going to have some explaining to do to them.
Oh, Izzy's going to really make me work hard.
Yeah, I can just hear him now in the back of my voice. back of my head.
But yeah, so I'm like, it's kind of crazy when you think we've had that many different people representing different things in the community, and how like it's just been a way to promote what people are doing and seeing that God is at work in the areas that we live.
Right, yeah.
So how about this? So here's some other stats.
Okay.
So plays from Spotify, 4,723. So almost 5,000 plays from Spotify. And I didn't look quite exactly what that means, like how long they stay on.
Mm-hmm.
We have 37 followers on Spotify, which I'm like, okay, 37, I'll take it.
Yeah.
41 followers on Apple,
Wow.
and then 3.3 thousand plays on Apple. So I think those are separate than the Spotify one. So that's over 7,000 plays between those.
I mean, PD, would you have ever thought that? Like,
I thought we'd be lucky to get one play.
like, if anybody would listen to us ramble on, and that just blows me away. That it must show that word has gotten out, and that maybe you, as the listener, have been kind enough to share with your friends, and maybe it intrigued them, and so we're so very grateful for you sharing that out and multiplying the reach,
and just even taking the time to listen to us just jibber jabber about whatever.
I know.
And with that, kind of on Apple, I saw that we have 146 listeners on Apple, and 76 of those are engaged. So that means they actually listen to us. 76.
Yeah. Wow. Now, you were kind of early on seeing where our audience geographically might be located.
So I was just going to ask you, what do you think our top 5 cities are on Apple?
All right. Well, Chicago's got to be one, right?
Chicago's number 1.
Yeah, so is it when you say city, is it like a city, a major metropolis city, or is it could Schaumburg be a city?
Schaumburg could be a city.
Okay. So, all right. So, in that size is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Palatine's got to be up there.
Actually, I do not see Palatine.
Okay, all right then, sir.
Hold up here. Let me get the all-time here. Because, we did reference our second most listened to city, which I've never figured out how. And
that was out in the Northwest.
Yep.
Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, because remember I did the whole green eggs and ham with Frasier?
Yeah, right.
Third is on the other side of the country.
Hold on. It's coming to me. Orlando, Florida.
No, this city has 2 baseball teams.
Oh, New York.
New York City is number 3.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
What?
Next one, the 4th one, they have a wonderful baseball team up there that has a beautiful stadium that we've been to.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee.
That makes sense. They're pretty close.
Yeah, Wrigley Field North up there. Number 5 makes sense to me. A little more local.
Rockford?
No, a little closer than Rockford.
Elgin?
Elgin.
Okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense to me, too.
This one's out near you a little bit, the next one.
Out near Barrington?
No.
Well, that would be you.
That would be me. More near you.
More near me.
They have 2 high schools in this town.
Oh, Crystal Lake.
Crystal Lake.
Yeah, okay.
Next one's Seoul.
Seoul, Korea.
Yeah. Then Stavanger. Stavanger. Dothan.
Wow.
Russellville. Washington, D.C.
There you go. Somebody's watching, listening in on us.
Daytona Beach.
Yeah, all right, Daytona. Hey, shout out.
Yeah. We got North Point, Ocala, Florida. Port Lucie. So that one is some of the ones with Meshack, I'm guessing.
Yep, definitely.
Atlanta, Effingham. Litchfield.
Litchfield, Illinois?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm assuming Carmel, Indiana.
Okay.
Evansville, Indiana. The home of the best baseball team in the NL Central and home of the greatest seminary there is.
The Cubs?
No. St. Louis. They have a wonderful baseball team. But yes, and there's a whole list of other ones on here.
Wow. Litchfield, that takes me back to my childhood. My sister went to nursing school in St. Louis, and, it was Route 66 back then, not 55. And my dad stopped off at this, nothing town and to get something to eat, and we went to this restaurant in Litchfield, and they had the best spaghetti ever as I ever had as my time as a kid. And, I always wanted my parents to stop in Litchfield. Are we going to stop for spaghetti? And so they did, and that's the only memory I have of that little town. which is probably much bigger now.
Yeah, I can probably look up Litchfield, but talking about spaghetti, this is one of my weird things about me, is that I like lasagna, but I don't care for spaghetti as much.
Okay.
I'm like, it's the same thing, just different noodles.
Different texture.
It's those noodles, I think, that do.
I think you're right, sir. Yeah.
So, population of Litchfield in 2021 is 6,726.
All right, so it's still pretty small.
3 hours and 42 minutes away from Palatine.
Mm-hmm.
62 degrees there right now.
Mm.
Oh, they have a drive-in, it looks like, in this one picture.
I wonder if they have a cafe, like a restaurant, something reference to Route 66. I don't know, but I don't know how I would remember the name of it. I remember, like, my wife and I looking that up once.
I went on their website, visit litchfield.com. Litchfield Museum and Route 66 Welcome Center. That looks a little fancy.
Okay, so it was a thriving stop along ye old Route 66.
There's Artisan Cafe.
Maybe that's it. I bet they have great spaghetti.
Let me see if I can find their menu. Ooh, they have the Skyview Drive-In.
Ooh, look at that.
So there is a drive-in there.
All righty.
I'm going to their website now, the Artisan Cafe. How does this deal with our podcast?
No.
Oh, because people listen in Litchfield.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all three listeners.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm not seeing
the spaghetti on the menu.
There is spaghetti.
Get out of town.
It's on their Italian section with massacholi, manicotti, and cannoli.
All right, we're going on a road trip.
To get their spaghetti?
Yeah, we're going to bring our podcast. We're going to podcast locally to Litchfield.
Just like...
I'm saying it. Let's do it.
Just like the gathering place is going to be at Dogs and Sons. But yeah, the spaghetti says covered with our homemade meat sauce. $14.99 or a half order $13.99. Why don't you just go for the full
order? You're paying an extra $1.
Oh, what are they doing here?
Oh, man. They're just making sure you get more.
So, yeah, but it has been a really fun time doing the podcast.
Yeah. It's been a lot of, it's been fun to hear how people respond to it.
Right.
And that's wonderful. And we've had a lot of laughs,
right?
Going through this.
And we've had some serious topics talking, because I remember we talked about the whole Damar Hamlin thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or even just thinking about the whole idea with like the laughs and like all that we've done. Now I just lost my train of thought here, so that's an unscripted moment right there.
Yeah,
just
no worries.
Losing my thought here. I'm gonna see if I can look back at what I was looking at to see if that triggers anything.
Yeah, we have talked many serious topics, and I think they've been received well. Like just recently, we talked about the stages of grief,
right?
And had a couple people grateful for that particular episode, and so. We cover, the lighthearted and the things that'll break your heart too.
Right.
So.
I think another part that we both enjoy is you kind of get to see our personalities a little bit, especially when we have a little pre-chatter before the topic, kind of where we get to share about whatever maybe is going on in the world or things happening in our lives.
Yeah, and that's really by design. If our listeners haven't figured that out, it's a way for us to show you who we are. And as pastors, that we are approachable, that we desire to have relationships with people, and that we can have fun times too, and we can get serious when we need to. We can dive deep into Scripture to help people, grow in their faith. So that's kind of by design.
Right. And then I think I know what I was thinking of, how we've added the video component now to the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's been nice, I think, for those that are more the visual list want to watch as they listen.
I think that was a great move. It was something that I always had in my mind, when we, were talking about the idea, and then you found a way to make it happen, which was fantastic. And speaking of making it happen, I mean, like, this all has been helped out through like our IT team, Andy Liebold and Dave Brazel, who hooked us up with quality microphones and, streaming,
mobile streaming
unit 1 that we record off of.
And I mean, all I have to do is plug one little thing into my USB-C port on my laptop, and off we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's through their efforts in this studio that many people have attributed to, fixing up and making a nice place and even kind of soundproofing a bit.
Yeah, and that's
that make us sound okay.
Yeah, big thanks to Steve McKay's Bible study who helped put, if you're watching, you see right behind us a big blue soundproofing thing, and we have these hanging up throughout the studio here.
Right.
And if you've seen some early pictures, because usually we try to take a picture with our guests and put that up so people can kind of see. And early on, we didn't even have the carpeting, but thanks to a generous donation of a member, we have carpeting down here.
Yeah. And even going farther back, our deaf ministry, our deaf members, they painted the walls a long time ago. So, we were given the color to paint, and we came down here on a weekend and got her done. So that was like maybe one of the first things to get the room in order, So,
and like kind of thinking like, what would be some future goals? Like I think one of my future goals is some more cameras in here to change up the recording because right now we just record off my cell phone.
Yeah.
And then I add the audio that is recorded from my computer over that. But it would be nice to have like a couple different camera shots where if you're talking, I can switch it to just you, or I'm talking just me, and then sometimes the group. Because we have, this is me just kind of being judgmental on it. Like when we have guests, it's a little bit harder with the video because you can't get a good angle where somebody's getting blocked, or like last week's with our 50s plus friends. It was really hard with having all the mics out where like my face was blocked, your face was blocked. I'm trying to like sync up. I'm like, I'm talking, but what am I saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's all the intricacies of the editing that PD does. And, he's trying to match up an audio file with a video file. And, I mean, he does a fantastic job of syncing it up, man. So
well, thank you. I just don't want to be like a bad Godzilla movie. That's always my thinking of when it's those bad dubbed over things as a bad Godzilla movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so
what about you? Any future goals or ideas for the podcast?
Yeah. It'd be nice to have a couple of people around us to kind of help produce it, and kind of, like as you say, maybe some people who might be willing to give time to come and record us on video or whatever, so we could achieve those things and kind of expand the ministry a little bit, and and then maybe find a way where we can expand our reach. And because there's all sorts of ways to do that on social media, of which I don't know many of them, but I think having gone 100 episodes, it shows longevity,
right?
And that we have a presence.
It's over 2 years now.
Yeah, we have a footprint,
right? Because we started off, as you said earlier, with three a week, and then that kind of burnt out, and I think. Summer happened, and then vacations. I know that summer I had COVID, and then getting back into the swing of things with school. And then we were like, okay, we just didn't find the time. And then we finally settled in January of 2023 of like, we could handle one a week. And that's kind of been, there's been obviously some times where we haven't been able to do that because of scheduling conflicts. But that is our goal, is one a week.
Yep. So I think just keep moving forward in the spirit that got us going on this. I think that has brought us to this day.
Right.
And certainly it was led by the Lord. In all of this came together because God put thoughts in our heads, and He gave us the initiative and the courage to do it around with the support we needed to do it. And here we are, and that's awesome.
And I like that we keep kind of evolving a little bit. Like now for the video, like I said, we got these new lights shining on, and that just happened to be a fluke thing.
Yeah.
But it's also, like you said, thanks to Andy and Dave for getting us set up, because even though we're not professional, we sound pretty professional because of the quality of equipment and how they know how to work all this tech stuff.
Yeah, we're
far greater than I can, and we don't sound like we're underwater.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go. It's not like we're speaking in a can. And that goes a long way to people staying engaged.
Because there is one episode that I'll admit I'm not a big fan of for our podcast.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick, because it happened. Yes, it was the one that came out December 23rd, 2022. PD and P-Dubs returned to talk Christmas. And that was because I was having some issues with my laptop that day and I couldn't get the mixer to record.
Okay.
So it was just our two mics. And that sound quality in that one is not up to par. It's a little more underwater than our normal ones.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it just annoys me so much that one, the audio sounds the way it does. And it wasn't anything I could do at the time to adjust that. And
Well, hey, it's 1 out of 100 that didn't sound the greatest.
right,
I mean,
but it's, how those things, those little things that you stick on. And one other thing I think we both would agree is we want a new table for in here.
yeah, that.
It's a little tight. If you're watching online, you can see
Yeah,
it.
we are cramped in here, and
Especially when we have both of our laptops up.
yeah. So that's a good one. Yeah, that would be a good thing to think about. I mean, our chairs, yours and my chair, are nice and comfy.
Right.
So maybe we could get a comfy chairs for guests.
Yeah, because I know when we have
there are
our,
even 2 different kinds of chairs.
well, I know when I have my middle school elective right now, some of the kids are fighting for your chair. And I'm like, okay, you have it this day, the other person can have it the next day. And they're like, we want your, I was like, no, I'm not giving up my chair. And I mean, I kind of got to be in this spot somewhat because it is the closest to the plug-in for my laptop.
Exactly. But it wouldn't matter to me if I was on your side. It'd still be small table.
Right.
But one thing I do want to bring up is our musical intro. At first, you came up with some musical intro from free music.
From some of my friends from seminary. So
that's
my
right. Yeah.
2 friends, Matt Gonzalez and Jake Alstead, who are pastors. Matt's in the Bronx and Jake's in Wilson Park, New York. And Jake's both have been actually guests on the Gathering Place. And while we're in seminary, they had a band, and they still kind of do music together since they're near each other. And their band's called Acts of the Apostles, AXE. And so, they recorded a bunch of music while we're in seminary. And I know still now today they make music for their VBS at their church. And so I was like, hey, guys, can I use one of your songs, like a 15-second snippet, just because we need some sort of intro music so it's not just, hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't have to pay royalties. And they're like, yep, that's fine. And so we had that.
Yeah, it was like a little guitar strum.
Yeah, the instrument. It was the beginning of Forgiven or Forever and True or something. The acoustic version of that song. I'm just trying to look here on iTunes here if I can see that title. But then last year,
got updated.
Yeah, with Joe coming on board for our praise team director, I was like, hey, Joe, could you be able to come up with some music for our podcast intro, which I thought would be awesome to just have it be nothing against my friends Matt and Jake, but more local to Emmanuel and specific for our podcast.
Yeah.
And he came up with our awesome theme song, and he even went above and beyond where he created the intro video that if you watch it on YouTube, you now see the video of us.
Yeah. And I just love the ending where he puts a little PD and P-dubs unscripted.
Right, and I don't know if you remember, but early on after he did that, he's like, I wouldn't mind getting you guys to say, you say P-dubs, I say PD.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten to that point yet.
No.
But yeah, so we're grateful for Joe for doing that. And I mean, everybody.
For your friends.
Yeah, we're thanking Matt and Jake for that. I'm just finally got to their songs here. But yeah, it might have been Forgive and Forget, maybe, or Never Alone. One of those, or Fall. I think it might have been Fallen. I don't know.
Okay.
But it was one of their songs, and so that was nice and
got us going.
So it wasn't just like, hey, welcome to the podcast beginning.
Yeah, we had an intro.
Yeah, because you listen to any podcast, there's some sort of intro music to come into that.
Yeah.
And with every once in a while we've been able to loop into random things. I remember when you were talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, how I got that looped into the audio.
Yeah.
So we try to have some fun with some of those things, but we are truly grateful for everybody that has helped us to get to this point.
For sure.
Like we said, the Ave to Techie side, for Joe with the theme song, my friends Matt and Jake for the theme song, all of our guests to take the time.
For sure. That somebody would come and talk to us. I mean,
that they take the time.
Yeah, out of their day. And so they say, "Oh, it was so wonderful, it was so great," and to us, it's like we're thinking that,
right? Because it's okay,
you came.
We don't have to think of a topic. We can just go off that.
Yeah,
and and so all the guys that helped make the soundproofing, painting this room, the carpet, donation for the rug in here, to all just make it sound great, and also for our listeners to take the time to listen to, especially those that were listening the 3 a week. Man,
Yeah.
God bless you guys for wanting to listen to us
Yeah.
that much.
And remember the little thing we had going on, like, what do we name this studio? And we had some suggestions, and they were good, but
nothing really
like to say that's the one. So we've just kind of left it alone.
Right, and I think there might have been a few episodes where like we're in the blah 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 studio,
Yeah.
but it never.
Yeah, we tried it on for size,
and it never really stuck.
Yeah, so hey, you try some things stick, some things don't.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, hey, it's been great celebrating 100 episodes with you all. And yes, thank you for joining us all the time. And if you're a first-time visitor, we hope you come back again. And if you're a regular visitor, please continue to share it out to your friends and family and coworkers.
Right, and even on social media, on the Facebook, share out suggestions for topics.
Yeah, we would love to undertake that.
Or if you're interested in being a guest, reach out to either of us, and we'd love to have more guests on here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So thank you all for tuning in, and God's blessings.